So good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Local Assistance Day quarterly webinar. This is hosted by Division of Local Assistance in partnership with our RTPA, our Regional Transportation Authority. Did I say that right? My name is Samantha Soto, and I am the Chief of Staff here at DLA, and it is such a pleasure to be here with you this morning. Just another reminder on a few housekeeping items. This meeting is going to be recorded for note-taking purposes. Agenda and presentation documents may be found on our DLA blog, which our DLA training coordinator is going to drop into the chat right now for you all, www.localassistanceblog.com. For this next one, it will apply throughout the webinar. Please pay close attention. We do ask that for questions versus comments, you use two different functionalities for each. If you have a comment or general feedback during this webinar, please go ahead and use the chat feature, which you will see as a sidebar on your Zoom. If you have any questions for our presenters today, specific questions related to presentation content that you would like a response to either during the webinar or following the webinar, please use the Q&A functionality. You will see that Q&A field at the bottom bar of your Zoom. This is important that you use the Q&A functionality for questions so that we can track which questions have been answered. And if any are unanswered during the webinar, we're able to follow up appropriately with you all to provide the answers. When presenters have completed their presentation session, they will answer the Q&As live, which also allows us to capture that information and then upload the Q&A to our website. Presenters are going to provide any relevant links or contact information in the chat following their presentation for you. So please make sure you keep a close eye on that chat for important links and contact information. And throughout this webinar, please ensure your microphone is muted to deter any background noise. If you have any questions regarding today's event, please contact us at caltrans.dla@dot.ca.gov, which you will see dropped into the chat right now. And to receive DLA announcements, office bulletins, or other important updates from the division, please visit the DLA blog and enter your contact information in the right side of the column on that web page. Again, that will be dropped into chat right now, but it's www.localassistanceblog.com. To start us off, I'm going to walk us through the agenda, which our training coordinator will share on the screen right now for you, before I pass it over to our RTPA moderator for some opening messages.
Awesome. Thank you, Samantha. And good morning, everyone. My name is Carl Anderson over at the Metropolitan Transportation Commission, and I am the California RTPA, or Regional Transportation Planning Agency's moderator for this fiscal year. And I'm here to, help guide the discussion along with Samantha to, help contextualize a lot of things for our local agencies that are in charge of delivering the projects in partnership with Caltrans. And so I highly encourage active participation throughout the webinar today. Highly encourage you, sharing this information with other colleagues in your agencies to ensure that we're doing the latest and greatest in terms of project delivery for all of Californians. So thank you, Samantha, for passing it to me for open remarks, and I'll give it back to you for agenda overview.
Thank you so much, Carl. All right, kicking off our agenda preview, we are going to start with some updates on our annual LAPM updates. So 2025 LAPM updates, LAPG, and our local programs procedures, or LPP. Then we will move into our DLA 2024 office bulletins. We'll have several of those to review for you today, led by various of our DLA staff. Next, we will have our Active Transportation Resource Center updates, along with the 2025 ATP Symposium, led by our Office of State Programs. And finally, next, our Highway Safety Improvement Program Cycle 12 updates. I know you all are anxiously awaiting an update on the HSIP Cycle 12. We'll have a brief break from 10 to 10:10, and then we'll move into our UC Berkeley Tech Transfer trainings. A couple of important trainings for you all to be aware of. And then finally, before we close out, we'll have our California Local Technical Assistance Program, or CalTAP, training updates. So great agenda for you all today. Very excited to move into this. And with that, I would like to welcome our first presenter, Krista Harrington, to kick us off with some updates about our 2025 LAPM, LAGP, and LPP updates.
Thank you, Samantha. My name is Krista Harrington, and I am the Publications Editor, Training Analyst, and Forms Officer for the Division of Local Assistance Office of Guidance and Oversight. And our office is responsible for updating and deploying changes to the Local Assistance Procedures Manual, or the LAPM, and Local Assistance Program Guidelines, which is the LAPG, and then any exhibits that go along with them. We somewhat kind of act as like the quote unquote gatekeepers, since there are sometimes 15 to 20 authors for each document. This allows us to maintain version control of 20 plus chapters and over 100 exhibits and forms. So with that being said, I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so here is the local assistance main webpage. And so if you see here, I'm going to scroll down a little bit to the guidelines and procedures section right here. And this is basically where we're going to hang out. So the first thing I'm going to show you is the local program procedures, which is the LPP, which is right down here. Okay, so this is the LPP is published once a year in January, and it basically documents or calls out any changes that were made to the chapter within that year. So if you scroll down here, here they all are. The updates are ordered by the year, so 2024 would be 24, and then by the order in which they were published, or released, sorry. So it's not by month, so that's not 2024 January. And then you can see, let's see here. Okay, so sorry. So as an example, if I scroll down, you can see that right here, the 2016, the year had 5 updates, but we actually don't do that anymore. We only release them in January once a year. So if I scroll back up, you'll see this is the most recent one, and it will recap basically all of the updates that were done in 2024. So I'm going to open it up, and I'm just going to show you this. So this is the LPP document. So this is the first page, and if we scroll down to the second page, it kind of highlights everything that was done. So there are 2 types of updates. There's the office bulletins, which are listed right here at the top. Sorry. The office bulletins listed up here. And those are used to announce any new policies or changes to the existing policies. It also includes down here any clarifications or minor edits to existing policies. So I'm going to show you a little bit about the office bulletins. So the way you can get to this page is the very first page that we were on, local assistance. If you go down to guidelines and procedures, the office bulletins are right here. So if you look at this, you can see that there was one published right here at any new ones will be listed at the bottom here. They're also, the office bulletins are sent out via our weekly e-blast, and posted on our blog also, so to notify transportation stakeholders of any of the changes. Any minor edits or little clarifications or corrections are not included. And once these changes have been added to the chapter, they are then taken off of this page. So you'll only see them here if they've not yet been added to the chapter. But if you'd like to review any of the old ones, there's an archive of office bulletins right here that you can use to access those. Okay, so now that we've gone over the office bulletins, I'm going to go back to the LPP. Actually, I'm gonna. Okay, so this just basically makes sure that any changes are very clear to the reader. So, sorry. If we scroll down a little bit, I'm just going to show you an example real quick. So once you get into the actual stuff, like the information in here, you'll see that anything that was deleted out will be in red with a strike through, and then anything added will be in blue. So it's very easy for the reader to distinguish exactly what was changed without having to go through this particular one is 102 pages. And just so you know, the actual chapters will not show these changes. They're only shown in the LPP. So the final version will just be a clean document. And then all of these changes will end up in the LPP. Sorry, LAPM. Okay, so here's the webpage for the LAPM, which is also can be accessed from the guidelines and procedures tab. And then it describes the various procedures that are required to process federal and state funded local transportation projects. And it also comes out every year in January. The webpage has the links to the full document. If you look right, hang on. Right here, you can see the full LAPM is available right here. And then it also is available by chapter. So if you scroll down a little bit, you can just pull those out. And then the LAPG provides local project sponsors with a complete description of the federal and state programs available for financing the local public transportation related facilities. And so you can see that here. So basically all of this is done to disseminate all the information that we're changing and making it as easy as possible for everybody to see exactly what was changed and where to find all the information. And of course, if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me. And I think that covers my presentation.
Thank you, Krista. We do have a couple of questions for you. How often is the LAPM incorporated? How often is the LAPM updated to incorporate these updates and changes?
Yearly?
Great, thank you. Are there any specific changes to the QAP that will be looked for?
I'm not entirely sure what a QAP is.
Amanda, if you wouldn't mind expanding on your question in the Q&A field, we can get a response back to you and look into that. Next question. Thanks, Christine. Where can we find your contact information in case we need to reach out for questions?
Well, my email address is christine.harrington@dot.ca.gov. You can also reach out to the DLA inbox. And I believe my contact is also on the website.
Yeah, so following this presentation, Christine will drop her email address in the chat, and then our general inbox is caltrans.dla@dot.ca.gov. Great. It looks like, okay, so Amanda's question was referring to Chapter 6, Quality Assurance Program. So that may take more specific follow-up with the chapter owner. So Amanda, we will document your question. We will follow up with the Chapter 6 owner, who I believe is Eco, and we will get you a response to your question. Gurmai Bayeni, good morning, sir. Any update to the QAP is forthcoming? Again, this is linked to the previous question, so we will follow up on any updates to Chapter 6 and let you know when those are forthcoming, although the LAPM is updated annually in January.
Samantha, can I ask a question for Christine?
Absolutely.
Christine, I'm Carl Anderson, the RTPA moderator for this year. I know a lot of our local agencies use different forms that are found in the LAPM. Are there any major updates to any forms this year?
Let's see.
We did update a couple. Nady, I'm not sure if you're online, but you had a couple of forms updated for right-of-way 13. There they are. Yep.
Yeah, so they'll all be listed basically right here. I mean, I do the forms, so I kind of know, but I tried to figure out a way that you could find them. But yeah, like, so the 13A is right here. So, I guess.
Perfect. So
Offhand, unfortunately, I'll have to get back to you on the exact. I don't want to say anything wrong.
No, it's okay. But I think I just wanted to highlight that just so for any local agencies that are working with Caltrans to, help deliver a project and you are using any forms, just always make sure you're using the latest and greatest. That way it just, avoids any sort of hiccups along the way.
Yeah, and if I could add to that, Carl, because that's a really good point, it is best practice to always go to our website and download the form from our webpage, even if you already have it saved to your hard drive. Like we said, we do make annual updates to this form. The 13A did go through a Lane 6 process this year, so there's potential for significant updates. So please just make sure that you go ahead and download directly from our website anytime you're completing these forms. All right, I think that's the end of the questions. Thank you so much, Christine, for your presentation. Thank you. For our next presentation, we have Tu Vang to give us an update on our DLA office bulletins from 2024. Tu, whenever you're ready, please go ahead and share your screen.
Thank you, Samantha. Okay, as Samantha said, my name is Tu Vang. I work in Caltrans Headquarters Division Local Assistance and Office of Project Management Oversight South. Today I'll be covering the updates to the Davis-Bacon Act and the changes that were required to the Local Assistance Procedure Manual, as well as changes to the LAPM exhibits 15C and 15L to conform to these updates. As you know, Office Bulletin 24-03 was issued last year to disseminate these policy changes. So here's an overview or a summary of the updates. So the policy updates now require the local public agencies to monitor federal prevailing wage rates up until bid opening. If the wage rates are modified 10 calendar days or more prior to bid opening, the local agency is required to issue an addendum into the contract. But if the wages are modified after the 10 calendar days prior to bid opening, the local agency can either issue an addendum to the contract if it's feasible, or document in the project folder that there was not enough time to notify all the bidders of the revision. Also, if the contract is not awarded within 90 calendar days of bid opening, the latest prevailing wage rates must be inserted into the contract. So these are the changes we made to the LAPM. First to Chapter 12, we updated the requirements to reference the unique wage determination number website and not just the generic sam.gov website. The requirements to monitor for updates to wage rates, those were moved to Chapter 15 since those requirements mostly affect advertisement. And so we added a reference to Chapter 15 for the wage rate monitoring. Changes to Chapter 15 includes updating. We updated the procedure for Exhibit 15C. The local agency is now required to complete and retain Exhibit 15C prior to advertisement instead of prior to requesting authorization to proceed for construction. As mentioned earlier, the requirements to monitor federal wage rates were moved to Chapter 15. This is the requirement to monitor wage rate up until bid opening. And then since we were updating this chapter, we also took this opportunity to clarify that the requirement to document that the local agency has verified that the low bidder and the subcontractors have not been suspended or debarred. Previously, it was just to verify, but now we want the local agency to also document that they actually did verify it. And then we also made changes to the exhibits or forms. So first one here is Exhibit 15C. It's been completely reformatted. We removed some non-essential project information. Then we added some new check boxes and data entry field for better consistency with the updates to Davis-Bacon Act, which we'll see in the next slide. We also reorganized the check boxes based on subject. So here's what the new form looks like, and it's also the link to all the LAPM form. So these are the two main questions that relate to Davis-Bacon. And just a reminder to the local agency to monitor federal prevailing wage rates up until bid opening. Like Exhibit 15C, 15L was also reformatted. We combined data entry fields to the beginning of the form and check boxes to the main body. Again, we removed some non-essential project information fields and added a new checkbox related to Davis-Bacon. So here's what the form looks like. It's hard to see, I know it's a little small. And then again, the two questions related to Davis-Bacon. We asked if the wage rates were monitored up until bid opening. So just to recap, the updates to Davis-Bacon now requires wage rate monitoring up until bid opening. So that's the main take from this presentation. If you have any questions, you can drop in the chat or the Q&A. And also, this is my contact information, and I'll also drop that in the chat in a little bit. I'll give it back to you, Samantha, if there's any questions.
Thank you, too. We've received one question for you. How often does the wage rate get updated?
I'm not entirely sure how often they get updated. But it's why we just kind of require that you monitor it, so you can just check periodically.
Great, thank you. Next question is a request for you to repeat some info from your presentation. You mentioned something about wages and contract award within 90 days. Can you please repeat that info?
Yeah, so if the contract isn't awarded within 90 days of bid opening, the local agency should go back and recheck for any updates to the wage rates and include the latest wage rates in the contract. So if it wasn't awarded within 90 days of bid opening, they need to go back and check the wage rates and include the latest one.
Great, thank you so much, too. And then the next question, is there an email or alert of some kind that we can sign up for when rates are updated, or do we have to keep manually monitoring?
That I do not know because the wage rates are actually on the federal website. And so I'm not as familiar with the federal website, versus our own website. So I don't know if you can sign up for it for any updates. I know it's when you go in to check the wage rates, you have to select by region and area, and it actually gives you a unique wage rate website based on your search selection. And that's the unique website that we want you to put actually in the contract, and not just a general sam.gov website.
Thank you, too. Do you need to include a printout of the wages in the contract, or will the website suffice?
For the advertisement, the website suffice, but for the contract, a physical printout must be inserted, or if it's being electronic copy, maybe like a PDF or something, has to be inserted into the contract.
Great, thank you. And it looks like that is the last of the questions for you two. Oh, sorry, one more. Just clarification, awarded, right? Not executed or fully signed?
Correct, awarded.
Great. Now that is the last of the questions for you. Thank you so much for your presentation too.
Thank you.
Mr. Burke, yes, Daniel Burke, we have you up next with single audits report submission.
Hey, thank you, Samantha, so much. Here, let me pull up my presentation and share it with everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Awesome. Give me just a moment here. And there we are. That's much better. My name is Daniel Burke, and I am here today with the Division of Local Assistance Office of Guidance and Oversight, talking about Local Assistance Office Bulletin number 2404, Single Audit Report and De Minimis Rate Updates. So there's been two basic policy updates to the Single Audit Report Package Threshold and the De Minimis Rate Increase. Both of these were promulgated through the U.S. Department of Transportation, Federal Highway Administration, or it's rather U.S. Department of Transportation, really. And they made a rule-making policy update to increase these. I'm sorry, rather, it's the Office of Management and Budget. So the two policy updates that we're talking about is the increase of the single audit report package threshold to $1 million. And this is effective for any periods on or after October 1, 2024. And this includes all federal funds expended. So it can be Department of Transportation funds, such as your federal formula funds that you receive through Caltrans, or in addition, it could be other funds that you might receive through housing and urban development or health and human services. But it takes all those funds together to reach that $1 million threshold. And again, this is effective on or after October 1, 2024. Some of you might be out there saying, well, why was October 1, 2024 selected? That is actually the federal fiscal year. The federal fiscal year runs from October 1 through September 30th. This is unlike California, where the state of California has a July 1 through June 30th fiscal year, as well as at least, I would say about 90% of our agencies have that same coinciding fiscal year of July 1 through June 30th. And we'll talk a little bit more about that, what we need to be careful of when hiring your independent auditors to conduct a single audit report. The second item that was changed is the local public agency de minimis indirect cost rate. It increases from 10 to 15%, again, using that October 1, 2024 date. The de minimis indirect cost rate is basically if an agency doesn't want to go through the process of submitting an indirect cost allocation plan in totality and looking through all of the administrative and indirect costs or administrative overhead costs. And just as instead, we just want to recover some of our costs. So let's use this nominal fee, which is called the de minimis rate. And again, you can request 15% after October 1, 2024, if you don't want to go through the full-blown indirect cost allocation plan. So getting back to the single audit report package threshold. So again, this is $1 million threshold for any fiscal year ending on and after October 1, 2024. More specifically here, if the local public agency's 2023-24 fiscal year ends on June 30th, 2024, like about 90% of our agencies out there, that threshold is still at $750,000 for the year ending 2024. However, if it is the year 2025 and your fiscal year ends June 30th, 2025, you will need to consider that any expenditures at or above $1 million will result in you needing to hire an independent auditor to perform a single audit report. So it's very similar here with the de minimis rate increase. If your fiscal year ends June 30th, 2024, and you select using a de minimis indirect cost rate to reimburse your administrative and other indirect costs, it can only be claimed at 10% because June 30th is before October 1st, 2024. In the scenario above, and your fiscal year ends June 30th, 2025, you can select, basically what you can do is you can select a 10% indirect cost reimbursement from July 1, 2024 through September 30th, 2024, and then a 15% rate from October 1, 2024 through June 30th. And yes, we have seen this already done by a couple of agencies. So excellent on them for doing their homework and research and getting that recovering an additional 5% of their indirect cost rates on our projects. Below is my contact information here. Let me know if you have any further questions, and I will hand things back over to Samantha if there are any questions that popped up in the Q&A box. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Daniel. So question from Jessica Pecha. If any agency doesn't meet the threshold for requiring an SAR, do they need to submit any documentation to that effect?
It's a great question. You would need to submit what we call an exemption letter, and that just goes to the state controller's office and to the Caltrans federal funds award inbox. And it basically states my agency was exempt from the single audit report requirements for the period ending, fiscal year 2024, if you're going to be filing for 2024. And you just have a fiscal officer assign it. We have some examples up here. Let me go ahead and share my screen with everybody real quick. And give me just a moment here to pull that up for everybody. So this is our homepage for local assistance programs on the internet. What we're going to do here is we're going to find the audits, which is under guidance and oversight, the office I work in. We go to audits resources. And if you click this, there's an example letter of the exemption letter. And again, that just goes out to the state controller's office. I believe their email is singleaudit@sco.ca.gov. And you click this and it'll provide an example. You can download it and then change the template around for your agency and put it on your agency letterhead. Great question, Jessica. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Daniel. And our next question from Lori. For de minimis, I noticed in the Federal Register that the cap for consultants changed from 25,000 to 50,000. How does an agency make sure that's implemented for our indirect costs?
It's not an area where I am an expert in. That needs to go to the independent office, the Caltrans Independent Office of Audits and Investigations. If you go to their website, let me go ahead and reshare my screen here. They should have some information on that or where you can contact somebody. So we're just going to come back here into our website. We're going to go to program. Actually, they're not affiliated with Caltrans. So bear with me for just a moment here. I will locate their website here very quickly.
Great, and our training and communications coordinator has dropped the link in chat for those of you to go ahead and check it out while Daniel locates the webpage to show you.
This is the site for the Inspector General. So you'll go into here into resources, and they should have some ICR acceptance and ID approval right here in architectural and engineering. It'd be great to contact them and ask them the specific questions here. You can ask right here just on this email down here, and they should be able to provide that information for the increase in the threshold from $25,000 to $50,000.
Great, thank you so much, Daniel. And it looks like that was the final question for you. Thank you again for your presentation. And
Thank you so much.
Yeah. And next up, we have Mary Gutierrez for real property acquisition waiver valuation. Mary, when you're ready, go ahead and share your screen.
Sure. Okay, can everybody see my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Perfect. Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Mary Gutierrez. I'm from Headquarters Office of Local Right-of-Way, Division of Local Assistance. And we basically work along with the District Local Program Coordinator, with the District Local Assistance Engineer, local public agency, and basically we're like a liaison, between districts, headquarters, and we're here to assist you, whether clarification or research or training. So we're just here to support you. Anyway, I will be, today my topic would be Bulletin 24-05, which is the waiver valuation threshold. The agenda for today that I will be discussing is the FHWA Uniform Act Final Rule effective June 3rd, 2024, the waiver valuation in lieu of an appraisal, criteria to consider for a waiver valuation, and documents to support the waiver valuation. On June 3rd, 2024, the Uniform Relocation Assistance of Real Property Acquisition Policy Act of 1970 amended the regulation to increase the threshold for property acquisition per the Code of Federal Regulation. This threshold was increased from a fair market value of $10,000 to $15,000. And you can find this in our office bulletin for further detailed information. This final rule was revised during the notice of proposed rules making public comments period, requesting additional waiver valuation flexibility and to reflect the agency experience with the Federal Aid Highway Program since the last comprehensive rulemaking occurred back in 2005. Again, this has been updated in Chapter 13 in the Local Assistance Procedurals Manual. Waiver valuation in lieu and appraisal. For clarification, the $15,000 amount includes any damages to the remainder property, but excludes any non-substantial construction contract work. The waiver valuation is to be merely for documentation to support the amount of just compensation to be paid to the property owner. What criteria do you consider for a waiver valuation? Basically, when there's no serious questions as to highest and best use, when there's adequate market data is available, you have when there is no substantial damages and benefits, and there is no substantial decrease in market value due to the presence of hazardous material or hazardous waste. Also, waiver valuations are not appraisal and is precluded from complying with Standard Rule 1, 2, 3, and 4 of the Uniform Standard Professional Appraisal USPAP. In addition, the waiver valuation may be, waiver valuation may be based on the review of available relevant data, such as comparable sales, listings from multiple listing services, and commercial databases, opinion of assessor's office, appraisals or real estate broker and other data sources where you can get information to do a waiver evaluation. Documents to support the waiver evaluation. As an example, some of the guidance documents are the Certificate of Sufficiency and Hazardous Material Disclosure Document, HMDD, for environmental clearance, project identification, certification date, confidentiality statement, and certification of need for the right-of-way and access control by project development that applies. To license and certify appraiser. This is very interesting. I know that this comes a lot questions, and members of or candidates of professional appraiser organization who act in the dual capacity should check with their organization code of ethics for specific prohibition and disclosure requirements. Licensed and certified appraisers should check with their state licensing board for clarification on conflict between federal law, state law, and regulations. Review the USPAP Advisory Chapter 21, Valuation Services and Appraisal Practice for services performed while not acting as an appraiser. And also discuss with your agency assigning the task to assess your concern and experience. Federal law supersedes state law whenever they are in conflict. However, it is recommended to have the state licensing board provide a clear opinion on the matter, as they are in charge of enforcing over the difference of opinion of appraisal issues. And for further information, please visit our office, our internet, Office of Local Right-of-Way, Division of Local Assistance, which we have training videos, Local Assistance Procedural Manual, Caltrans Right-of-Way Manual. We also have our forms and exhibit and other resources. And our contact, in our division, we have Nadia Pinella, she's office chief, and myself, Mary Gutierrez, which I primarily do a lot of research inquiry, provide information as we get information in our general question. And our general inbox is local.rightaway@dot.ca.gov. And that's my presentation. If there's any questions, I'll pass it over to Samantha. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much, Mary. Any questions for Mary, please feel free to drop them in the Q&A. At this time, Mary, it doesn't look like we have any questions, but if we receive any, we'll pass them on for follow-up in our Q&A document.
Okay, thank you so much, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. And next up, we have Lai Long with Title VI program updates and ADA Section 504 program updates. Lai, whenever you're ready, please go ahead and share your screen.
Okay, thank you, Sam. So hi, my name is Lai Leong. I'm the local ADA Section 504 coordinator with the Division of Local Assistance with the Office of Local Civil Compliance. I'll be sharing updates on the Office Bulletin 2406 Title VI program and 2407, the Americans with Disabilities Act Section 504 program. And then for Office Bulletin 2406, updates are under Chapter 9.2 of the Title VI of the LAPM. And the Office Bulletin for 2407 updates are under Chapter 9.3 of the ADA Section 504 of the LAPM. And below is the link to the Office Bulletin's webpage to view the changes. For Chapter 9.2 Title VI updates, we revised the chapter to define the roles and responsibilities for various agencies relating to monitoring, implementing, and enforcing local agencies' Title VI programs. We also clarified the Title VI program requirements under the Federal Highway Administration Title VI requirements. And lastly, we added a requirement documents and reports section for the local agencies to learn what is required and how often they must be updated.
Lai, can I interrupt you for just a second? Are you sharing
Yes.
a presentation?
Oh, yes, I am. Oh, I'm so sorry. Wait 1 second. I forgot to click share. Sorry.
Perfect. There you go.
Okay, do you want me to go back or? So for the Office Bulletin 2406, the Title VI program, Chapter 9.2, we revised the chapter defining the roles and responsibilities for various agencies relating to monitoring, implementing, and enforcing local agencies' Title VI programs. And we also clarified the Title VI program requirements under the Federal Highway Administration for Title VI requirements. And lastly, we added a section called the required documents and reports section for local agencies to learn what is required and how often they must be updated. And then for Chapter 9.3 ADA Section 504 updates, the main goal for this chapter and section was to update and provide guidance and clarity to agencies who are receiving federal funds and understanding what the Americans with Disabilities Act Section 504 requirements are. You know, we received a lot of feedback from our local agencies and our district partners. You know, they shared with us that the language before was very vague. So our focus was to really polish up the language and make it clear and concise for our readers. And then we added a programs, roles, and responsibilities section. You know, it defines the duties and responsibilities from each program, such as FHWA's, Caltrans, the Division of Local Assistance, Office of Civil Rights, our district local assistance engineers, and most importantly, our local public agencies' roles and responsibilities. And lastly, we added the Caltrans DLA ADA Section 504 program assessment online requirement, which includes completing the form electronically and submitting it by June 30th of every odd year or when requested. So, you know, conducting program assessment was always part of the requirement under the ADA Section 504 oversight within our office. You know, it's just a new form of collecting information from the local agencies, because before they were receiving it through hard copies, emails, and it was very time consuming to collect information on and inputting it onto a huge Excel sheet. So this is a new form of collecting ADA program assessments, you know, which makes it very efficient, especially having to collect assessments for over 400 plus agencies. So same requirement, just a new form of collecting assessments. So that's all I have for updates for Office Bulletin Title VI and 8A Section 504.
Great, thank you so much, Lai. No questions currently for you, but if anyone has questions for Lai Leong, she will drop her contact information in the chat. Please feel free to reach out to her or the contact information you see on the screen, local.compliance@dot.ca.gov, for any follow-up questions. Oh, sorry, Lai, one did just pop in for you.
Okay.
So to find this info, we need to go to LAPM Chapter 3 and CP 902, is that correct?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
So to find this information, we need to go to LAPM Chapter 2 and
No. Chapter 9.2 and 9.3.
Thank you. All right, thank you so much for your presentation, Lai.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Alidor Westbrook from Office of State Programs to discuss ATRC, Active Transportation Resource Center updates, and the 2025 ATP Symposium. Ali, whenever you're ready, please go ahead and share your screen.
Thank you so much, Sammy. We'll go ahead and do that. Okay, is everything showing up correctly?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Awesome. Thank you so much, and good morning, everyone. My name is Alidor Westbrook. I'm a senior transportation planner at Caltrans headquarters. And as mentioned, I work in the Office of State Programs, supporting the Active Transportation Program. And my specific role is the Active Transportation Resource Center, or ATRC Project Manager. So I'll share a little bit with you in the coming slides. Okay, sorry, a lot of things popping up on my screen. There we go. Okay, so the ATRC's mission is to provide resources, technical assistance, and training to transportation partners across California to increase opportunity for success of active transportation projects. And so we provide a lot of great tools that folks can use when applying for the Active Transportation Program, which is a grant program administered by the California Transportation Commission. And I'm sure many of you on this call are very familiar with that program. It's been around for over a decade now. But the ATRC is here to support you when putting together your applications, or if you really just have any questions on active transportation projects. We have quite a lot of experts who are here to support you. So the ATRC consists of several partners. As mentioned before, the California Transportation Commission and Caltrans work really closely. And we also have a partnership with the California Department of Public Health, who provides non-infrastructure technical assistance to applicants. More recently, we've started working with UC Davis Institute of Transportation Studies, as well as California State University at Long Beach. So it's been really great working with both of these universities, and they've allowed for the ATRC to expand our research offerings around active transportation and really tapping us into what's happening at a national level. So it's been really great working with both of these universities this past year. So at a glance, what the ATRC provides, we have a website, which I'm hoping to show you all a little bit towards the end of our presentation. We also have a monthly newsletter where we provide latest updates on all things going on with the Active Transportation Program. Also, if there's any new guidance around active transportation, whether that be from Caltrans or from FHWA or other, NACTO guidelines, for example, they provide a lot of great guidelines around active transportation. We like to highlight that in our monthly newsletters. And so I would just encourage all of you on the call, if you're not already subscribed, to sign up there. That's also where we advertise our trainings and webinars. So we host at the ATRC, we have webinars on a quarterly basis. We just held a webinar in January around additional funding programs to support active transportation projects. That webinar was recorded and available to view on our website. So if you weren't able to join us in January, highly encourage you to check out that webinar. We had speakers from the Sustainable Communities Grant Program that Caltrans operates. Our partners at the Strategic Growth Council spoke about the Affordable Housing Sustainable Communities Grant that they administer. And then we also had partners from the Office of Traffic Safety talk about their grant. So it's a really informative webinar, lots of tools that they highlighted. And we have the recording and resources all listed on our website. For trainings, the ATRC is in the process of updating our Introduction to Planning and Design course. We are planning to have that be virtual this time around, so we're hoping that more people will be able to participate in this training with the virtual option. And once that training is live, we will be advertising it through our newsletter, and then we'll likely work with the great team that's putting this webinar today to make sure that it gets distributed to you all as well. We also have the ability to offer in-person trainings. So if anyone is interested in working with the ATRC to do an in-person training, we're able to do that as well. We have colleagues that are in Northern California and Southern California, so we can work with you to put together an in-person training if that's of interest. And we're also in conversation right now with the Federal Highway Administration, there we go, FHWA, for additional trainings. Right now we're talking with them about a safe systems training that we want to offer, and then potentially some other complete streets offerings. So keep an eye out for those. We also have a resource library with tons of information. And so I've linked to that here in the slides, but the ATRC, has been putting together resources for about 10 years now. So we have tons of tools for folks who are interested in applying for the active transportation, regardless of the project type. So if you have an infrastructure project, we've got stuff for you. If you want to do non-infrastructure work or plans, we also have a lot of tools available and links to different examples of, safe routes to school projects, bike rodeos, open streets events, tons and tons of information available for you. And the ATRC also has several supported contracts. So I haven't mentioned before, but the ATRC is a project of the Active Transportation Program. And so every ATP cycle, we go to the commission and we request funds to carry out different contracts that will help folks applying for the ATP. And so I'll cover some of those contracts in the next slide. And lastly, networking opportunities, and you'll hear about that when I go over the symposium. All right, so some current initiatives that we have at the ATRC. An ongoing effort is our non-infrastructure technical assistance. And this is work that we do with the California Department of Public Health. So for anyone applying for or who has received an ATP non-infrastructure grant, or maybe you received an award for a combination project, we have staff available to help you throughout the entire process. So if you have questions when you're putting together your application, we can meet with you and discuss your ideas. Maybe you've already been awarded a project, but you're kind of struggling to figure out, who you should be connecting with, or what a day of schedule will look like for an open streets event. The ATRC is here to help you. And so we have had this partnership with CDPH for many years. They have a lot of expertise in doing safe routes to school projects and working with public health professionals across California. And so this is a resource available to you all, and just want to make sure that folks are aware of it. Another contract that the ATRC has is our ATP Disadvantaged Communities Technical Assistance Program. And so what we do is every ATP cycle, we provide technical assistance to folks, but through this work, we're working with a smaller group of communities who are maybe haven't submitted an ATP application before, or have, but haven't quite been successful in receiving an award. We work hands-on with a small group of about 10 agencies to really work through everything they need to do to be successful in putting together a grant application. So we do intend to provide this targeted technical assistance for ATP Cycle 8. And we haven't yet announced, we haven't yet done a call for folks to submit interest in being a part of these cohorts, but we will be doing that shortly. So again, just really want to plug, sign up for the ATRC newsletter. That's how we communicate out folks what we're working on. But we will have 3 cohorts. So we're hoping to work with up to 10 communities in an urban or suburban community, 10 in a rural community, and then 10 tribal governments. So we're really excited to get to work with up to 30 communities on preparing applications for ATP Cycle 8. And the link that I have here will take you to a page where it talks a little bit more about technical assistance that we've provided in the past, and the success of folks who have participated in RTA program and were awarded projects. So encourage folks to check that out if you want to learn a little bit more. We're also working right now with UC Berkeley to update the Active Transportation Benefit Costs tool. So this is something that was developed for the ATP program a few years back. And we're just doing some maintenance on that tool and making sure that it still meets the needs of our program. And all these initiatives here are linked on our website, so you can learn more. One that I'm personally really excited is our Active Transportation Data Portal. As some of you may know, the Active Transportation program does require before and after counts for projects that receive funding from the ATP. But right now, there's not a single place for all that information to be stored and collected. So we're working with researchers at UC Berkeley to develop this statewide data portal where folks can collect their before and after counts, then it can be put on this dashboard and displayed, and then used on, either their application, or maybe there's another project happening in the area, and having this count data would be really helpful for showing the need of additional investments in active transportation. So we think that this data portal will not only support applicants, but also be able to use on a larger scale to support active transportation projects statewide. And lastly, we are working with Nelson Nygaard on a project we like to call Counts Plus. And we're looking at additional performance metrics that could be collected for active transportation projects. So what other information is useful for folks to know about when they are putting together, or once their projects have been awarded? Was there increases in people? Well, there are other benefits, I guess, is what I'm trying to get at. So, if there was an increase in people walking and biking once the project was built, that's great. But what additional benefits occurred? Did we see people behaving better and actually using designated crosswalks? Did we see an increase in commerce along a Main Street corridor? Did we see more youth walking or biking? There's a ton of different information that could be collected around projects once they're built. And so we're working with, like I said, we're working with the consultant now to collect this information, better understand what additional performance metrics are useful outside of counts themselves. These are just some of the initiatives. We're always trying to think of new ideas at the ATRC. But if you have ideas yourself for how Caltrans can better support active transportation in your active transportation projects in your community, reach out to us. We love to hear folks' ideas and see what we can do together. All right, the one I'm really excited about, and I hope you all can see my full screen because, oh, there we go. Maybe if I move that. The one I'm really excited about is our 2025 Active Transportation Program Symposium. So we wanted to make sure to share this with you all. It's been a few years since we had an in-person symposium, but we've got one on the books. So October 22nd and 23rd at UC Davis Conference Center here in Davis, California, we'll be hosting a 2-day symposium. There'll be speakers, interactive workshops, tons of breakout sessions, and lots of opportunities to connect with other partners who are working on active transportation program projects or applications. So we just wanted to give you all an early sneak peek. We have not yet opened registration, but we intend to open it this month. And so just wanted to make sure that folks were aware of this upcoming opportunity. I think it's going to be a lot of fun and a great way to connect with other people doing active transportation projects. So keep an eye out for this. It will be registration when it's opened. Will be advertised through our ATRC newsletter, also the DLA blog. And I don't have a ton of information on this slide because we want to encourage folks to go to the website, but I'll just share registration will be $50 to attend. So it's a great price to hear from some really, really inspiring speakers and projects that have been going on around California. So hope to see you all there in October. And then also I will add, we're planning to do an in-person introduction to planning and design training the day before. So that training I mentioned earlier in the presentation, we're planning to do an in-person version of that, if that's something that folks are interested in. All right, last but not least, here is our contact information. So if you have questions about any of the things I went over today or just want to connect with the ATRC, please reach out to us at atrc@dot.ca.gov. Thank you everyone so much for your time, and I will pass it over to Sammy if there's any questions.
Thank you so much, Allie. We do have a question for you. I believe you mentioned that you were hoping to work with 10 tribal governments. how are you targeting outreach and engaging the tribal governments to participate?
That's a great question. Yes, so we are hoping to work with up to 10 tribal governments. Our first effort at engagement was when we were putting together the scope of work TA program, we went to the Native American advisor with them. And so actually went twice to the Native American Advisory Committee, which is a statewide advisory group that Caltrans hosts. Or I would say organize. It's the tribal governments that are kind of leading the conversation that Caltrans brings together staff for this conversation. So we brought our scope of work to them for feedback and comments. And then also the active transportation program, we have a technical advisory committee with representation from several tribes on that TAC. So we shared, again, the scope of work with them. And then lastly, we worked with our partners at Long Beach who have a staff person that works with tribes across California. And so we met with him too to just make sure that what we were trying to achieve through this technical assistance program, if we felt like there was any areas where we could improve upon the scope. So we've met with, I would say, 3 pretty influential groups. We're always open to more feedback though, if folks have other ideas. And then for the TA itself, we are going through the California Multiple Award Schedule, or CMAS, to procure a contractor. And so my team and I have really been looking to make sure that there's contractors with experience working with tribal governments, or that maybe there is the tribal government themselves on the CMAS list. So we've tried 2 ways to make sure that ultimately who we end up working with to provide this TA has the expertise and relationships with tribal governments, because that's why we're doing 3 cohorts. Not to go too much into the weeds, but previously the TA has just been one group, and regardless of community type, everyone was together. But I think what we're hearing is that people have very specific needs, and so that's why we've divided our TA program into 3: urban and suburban as one, rural as its own, and tribal governments as its own, or sorry, tribal nations as its own. So I hope that helps. But if you have any suggestions, always open to getting feedback from folks.
Jennifer responded, thanks, Allie. So I think you answered her question in full, and I do see that Carl has a hand. So Carl, please go ahead.
Thank you, Allie, and thank you, Samantha. Allie, what are some of the most, what I would say, I guess, approachable training services or resources that that the ATRC has that you see agencies utilizing? And then I guess as a second part to that, what are the most common resources that folks are using?
Definitely. So approachable. I would say our webinars, and apologies, I keep getting a lot of notice that my internet connection is unstable, so I'm going to do my best here. But I would say some of the most approachable, we do our quarterly webinars, and we've had fantastic attendance from partners across the state. And I think when folks attend those, we usually dedicate 20 to 30 minutes towards the end to do Q&A. And so I found that to be a really helpful resource for folks, is like to go and learn, but usually about a topic that will be beneficial, and then applying for the ATP program. And so that's been one thing. But then outside of the webinars, I would say we have a sheet of different non-infrastructure activities that are eligible through the active transportation program. And that one has been super popular. So I can work with Sammy to maybe link that in the notes. But we have a resource of just a ton of different activities that folks can do, and work that is funded by the active transportation program. I think people are much more familiar with infrastructure projects. And so having a resource for folks that talks about other work that is eligible. And along with that, for non-infrastructure projects, we also have supplemental guidance. So that's a great tool as well if you're wondering like, oh, I want to do this type of activity, but I'm not quite sure if it's eligible. I recommend checking out our non-infrastructure supplemental guidance that I can also share with Sammy that kind of goes through exactly what the active transportation program will fund. And we're seeing a shift towards doing combination projects. So people are, wanting to build maybe a separated bikeway or a class 1 facility in coordination with a safe routes to school project. And I would say that's growing in popularity. So, really understanding like how you can take your infrastructure project and expand the education and encouragement around it is, I think, something that we're seeing a trend. It's a trend that we're seeing.
Great, thank you. Go
Thanks,
ahead.
Ellie.
Thank you, Carl. Thank you, Allie.
Yeah, no problem.
And it does look like that concludes the question list. Allie shared her contact follow-up information on the screen. You will also find that in chat, atrc@dot.ca.gov. Is it possible to get the links to the ATRC information suggestions mentioned earlier? Allie, would you mind if there were additional links besides that email contact list, going ahead and dropping those in the chat for us? I do see that our training communications coordinator has dropped several, but if there's any additional, please feel free to share those. Thank you so much.
Sounds good. I love to share links. So yes, thanks so much. I'll do that now.
Thank you, Allie. And with that, we will move to the last presentation before we have a short break. We have Richard Key and Kelly Marr joining us from our Office of Federal Programs to discuss our local highway safety improvement program, Cycle 12 updates. Richard and Allie, Kelly, whenever you're ready, please feel free to share your screen.
You can see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Thank you. Thank you, Samantha, for the introduction. Good morning, everyone. So I'm Richard Key. Kelly Marr and I will talk about local highway safety improvement program, local HSIP, Cycle 12, call for projects, like I give you an update. Our program, actually, we had Robert Peterson, but he retired at the end of last year. He's very knowledgeable in safety, and he helped this program a lot. So congratulations to him. So I will pretty much talk about the first half, and then Kelly Marr will take over. So today we will give you an overview of the program, and then some general information about Cycle 12 call for projects we'll covered, and then last there will be some Cycle 12 summary and award information. Yeah, so local HSIP program, the purpose of this program is to achieve a significant reduction in traffic fatalities and serious injuries on all public roads. So that's why we have this local HSIP program, because the program will not just for state highways. So in California, when the money from FHWA comes to us, we split into half and half. 50% goes to the state highway system, and then the other 50% to us, or to local roadways. For this federal fiscal year, we have about $129 million for local roadway network safety. Just give you some information, we have a local HSIP advisory committee, which provides high-level guidance to local HSIP. So the committee has members from Caltrans, of course, and then FHWA, but most members are from cities and counties. We have meetings about every 2 months, once every 2 months, and we have the minutes and an agenda online at HSIP website. So you can also see the members at the website. So if you have any suggestions, of course, you are welcome to contact us directly or Caltrans districts, DLAEs. You can also talk to your local representatives if you happen to have somebody you know. So they will also let us know any concerns or suggestions. Who can apply for local HCIP funding? So any local agencies, really. So our main clients are cities and counties. Tribal governments are also eligible, and RTPAs and MPOs can apply on behalf of other cities and counties. As you know, we also have state funds for HCIP. So that we are lucky because SB 137 allows exchange of local HCIP federal funds for state funds. So what we are trying to do is to use state funds for smaller HCIP projects. I think the major advantage is the NEPA process or environmental paperwork is much easier to do for state funded projects. Last, we have HCIP call for projects about I would say every 2 years, almost every time. So our last call, actually this one, cycle 12, was 2022. Sorry, 2024. So you can expect the next call for project cycles 13 will be next year, 2026, like we will announce around May or April. So this schedule, like a call for project, is consistent with the FTIP schedule. So here is some more specific information about cycle 12. So probably you have submitted applications. Cycle 12, we local agencies have about 4 months to prepare applications. From May 6th to the deadline is September 9th. And the total amount HCIP funding available, including both federal funding and state funds, is $300 million. And we had a statewide webinar. So if you have submitted applications, most likely you have attended this webinar. And this webinar was recorded, and there's a link at HCIP website. We also held extra workshops shops when districts required. Next is we just want to let you know we continue to require that all applicants must have completed a local roadway safety plan. So basically, this will help a lot for us to have good applications. And also, applications were all submitted electronically via Smartsheet. You probably didn't see, behind the screen, but this is the first time we used the Smartsheet. I think it worked pretty well. So in cycle 12, we have 2 big categories of applications. One is benefit cost ratio, and the other set aside. So for benefit cost ratio, from the name, the calculation of the BCR is required. So that's the majority of the funding. No less than 75% of the total funding will be under this category. Each agency can submit as many applications as you would like, but the maximum amount that could be awarded to an agency is $10 million under benefit cost ratio. We also have some set asides. So we have guardrail upgrades, pedestrian crossing enhancements, edge lines, bike safety improvements, as you can see from the screen, we also have one set aside for tribes. So altogether, set asides will not be more than 25% of the total funding. Each agency may apply like may submit one application per set aside. All right, so this is some summary information about the outcome of the call and also the project selection. Right now, the results have not been released yet. We are still working with Legislative Affairs and the Public Information Office. Hopefully, the list will be announced within the next 2 weeks, I think. So this is just some summary information. We received 330 applications from 165 local agencies, and the total funds requested was nearly $400 million. So 288 projects will be selected for funding with $300 million. The average size of the project is about a little bit over $1 million per project. So benefit cost ratio projects are normally larger, and then the set asides, because there's a limit for each application, so that's the much smaller projects. For benefit cost ratio, we are going to fund 153 projects, and then the total funding is $245.9 million. Set asides, about the same number of projects, 135, but the total amount is only $53.7 million. Again, because most of the set asides have a $350,000 upper limit. And then just for your information, a little bit over half of the projects will be awarded to local agencies with DAC. This is not a criteria, but this is just a summary. So that's about 2/3 of the funding, $200 million. All right. So next, Kelly, if
Thank
you
you,
can,
Richard.
I will, yeah.
Okay, so this slide summarizes our Cycle 12 projects. Like Richard mentioned in the previous slide, we received 330 applications requesting just under the $400 million. And then we will be awarding 288 projects with approximately $300 million. For the benefit cost ratio category, we will be awarding about 82% of the applications that we have received. And then for the set aside category, we will be awarding 94% of the applications that we have received. You will notice that this table does not include our fifth set aside of the tribal governments, since we didn't receive any applications from them this cycle. So hopefully we can tag team with Allie's group in her previous presentation, and hopefully you can get some tribal governments to submit some applications for cycle 13. Next slide, please. This table breaks down our Cycle 12 projects by districts. As you can see, the table provides the number of applications submitted, the requested amount of HSIP funds, and the number of applications that were awarded, and then the awarded amount by district. Quick summary, districts 4, 6, and 7, and 8 requested the most HSIP funds, and subsequently will be awarded about 2/3 of the HSIP funds at about $190 million. So this presentation will be shared with you after today. So take a closer look and see how your local agency and associated district fared with the other districts, and hopefully we can promote more applications to be submitted for cycle 13. Next slide, please. So the list of awarded projects will provide safety improvements for our signalized and non-signalized intersections, along with our along with roadway segments. We often get asked the question of what exactly are you guys funding? So the next few slides will break down what type of improvements will be implemented from the list of awarded projects, and I'll give you a general idea of what kind of safety improvements we're making out there. So from this slide, local agencies will improve signal hardware at approximately 1,400 plus intersections, and they'll install pavement markers and improve signal timing at over 200 intersections. Next slide, please. So continuing on what local agencies will provide with these safety projects, it looks like they'll be doing some sight distance improvements at 180 intersections, improving friction, and installing flashing beacons at over 65 intersections, and including 13 new roundabouts as well. This slide here summarizes our improvements for vulnerable road users. Local agencies will be implementing leading pedestrian intervals to nearly 800 locations, enhancing pedestrian crossings with rectangular rapid flashing beacons at over 700 locations, and adding more than 80 miles of bike lanes. For roadway segments, local agencies will be upgrading signs with new fluorescent sheeting along 1,600 miles of roadway, installing edge and/or center lines along 190 miles, and then installing delineators and reflectors along 140 miles. So the last few slides only highlight a handful of the great safety improvements that local agencies are implementing. So we hope to share the list of awarded projects soon so that we can get these projects started. So here is our contact information. So please feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions about the local HZIP program. Thank you for your time, and I'll hand it back to Samantha for any questions and answers.
Great, thank you, Richard. Thank you, Kelly. So the first question for you, we have a handful. Will HZIP Cycle 12 allow a systemic safety analysis report in lieu of a local roadway safety plan?
Yeah, we consider that SSSRP report is a equivalent of local roadway safety plan.
Great, thank you, Richard. Next question. Do you know the minimum benefit cost ratio for selected BCR projects?
Yeah, so like I said, we have not released the list, but I think it's okay. We can tell you that the benefit BCR cutoff is 7 this time.
Great, thank you. And you may or may not have this information, but Tarina is wondering if it's known what the average BCR or benefit cost ratio of awarded projects is.
Yeah, we have not calculated this. So the cutoff is 7. Normally, it's very possible like the average is actually doubling the cutoff. I mean the average BCR. So I would guess like 14 or 15 around there.
Great. Next question. What happens to the set-aside funds that were set aside for tribal governments? Do they carry on to the next year, or are they redistributed among categories?
So every call for project is kind of like independent. This time we have not received any applications from tribal governments. So it will not be carried over to next time, but I would believe next time we will have also tribal government set aside.
Great, thank you, Richard. And if you don't mind, I can take this next question. When are you going to release the HZIP approved project list for Cycle 12? Do you mind,
Thank
Richard?
you.
Yeah, so we have to go because there will be a press media release for these award cycles. We do apologize for the delay. However, we have 2 parallel approval routes that we need to go for announcing these awards. We have to go through our public information office, and then that will be elevated to the California State Transportation Agency that is currently with CalSTA for review and approval. And we also have a separate internal review process for our management. It is currently with our planning deputy for review and approval. We were anticipating mid to late March for award announcements, so please stay tuned. We're hoping to announce those within the next few weeks.
Thank you, Samantha.
Yeah, next question, and it looks like this is the final question. Where can we find average BCR information for past cycles?
I think for the most recent few cycles, if you go online at the web page with the list of projects, there's a summary for each cycle, so that information is available for the most recent 3 or 4 cycles.
Great. Thank you so much, Richard and Kelly, for this amazingly helpful presentation. That is the final question. So with that, we're going to take a short break, but just a couple of announcements before we set that timer for you all. We are going to have our DLA Office of Environmental Compliance and Outreach. We'll be reinitiating their virtual office hours every other month. So please stay tuned for those announcements and links. Next, our FHWA California division, in coordination with our Division of Local Assistance Federal Programs Office, will be hosting a discretionary grants webinar on March 6th. For announcements on both of these trainings and others, DLA email announcements, office bulletins, and other critical important updates from the Division of Local Assistance, please remember to visit our DLA blog and sign up by entering your contact information in the right-hand side of the column at www.localassistanceblog.com. And with that, we will see you all back here in about 10 minutes. There will be a timer shared on screen. Thank you. Hello, welcome back, everybody. Hope you had a great break. We will be moving on to our next item and continuing with our webinar. So next up, we have John Harvey from our UC Davis Pavement Research Center to present to us on some UC Berkeley tech transfer trainings. John, welcome, and whenever you're ready, please feel free to take it away.
Thank you. Can you see my screen? Great.
Yes, you can see.
Okay, thank you. So I'll be talking today about the City and County Pavement Improvement Center and the pavement training that we have for cities and counties. I'm going to do the first part and introduce the City and County Pavement Improvement Center, and then I'm going to pass it over to Jay Johnson at ITS Berkeley Tech Transfer, who manages our training program. So what is the mission of CCPIC? CCPIC works with local governments to increase pavement technical capability. We do this through support, training, outreach, and research. We don't do much research. We primarily take research that's been done for Caltrans at the state level and for Federal Highway Administration, and then we bring that to a place so that it's implementable by local government. Our main work is on training, which is what we're going to talk about today, outreach and support. Our vision is to help local governments make their pavement last longer, cost less, and be more sustainable. We actually spent quite a few years trying to help cities and counties. I work at the University of California Pavement Research Center. With no funding, and there's 482 cities and 58 counties, and it was not working very well. So we began working with a group and then began to work with the League of California Cities, the County Engineers Association of California, and the California State Association of Counties to organize a center. And this was chartered 6 years ago now, almost 7 years ago. In 2018, our University of California partners are here at UCPRC, which is at Davis and Berkeley, and then our training program is run through the Tech Transfer program at UC Berkeley. We have had California State University partners at the pavement CSUs, which are at Chico, where the Preservation Center is, at Long Beach, and at San Luis Obispo. We also had some funding from the Mineta Transportation Institute at San Jose State for a while as well. Our governance is through a governance board, which has 6 city and 6 county transportation professionals on it. They provide the oversight and the direction. And our funding has been year to year over these years, and it's coming through Senate Bill 1, which also helps fund transportation projects in cities and counties. This is the part of SB 1 that doesn't go to local government, but there's about a few million a year that go to the University of California, and that's where our funding comes from. So our technology transfer, we have training courses. We've established 2 certificate programs. One is for pavement engineering and management. The other is for pavement construction inspection. And these are set up for working professionals. And as I mentioned, they're through tech transfer. CCPIC also does outreach. We do technical training, visit groups all over the state, talking about various aspects of how to make pavement last longer. We have technical resources on our website, including best practices, tech briefs. We have guidance documents. We have several sample specifications that can be downloaded and brought into local government specifications. We've got some different tools up there, Excel spreadsheets for doing different things. We're available as a resource center. If people have questions, we are not consultants, but we can help provide basic background, do some review of specifications, answer questions, and also help you work better with your consultants. As I mentioned, a lot of our technical resources are things that were originally developed for Caltrans or other states, and then we adapt them for local government. The Pavement Engineering and Management Certificate Program, both of these programs are 100% online. We used to do a little bit of in-person training before COVID, but since COVID, it's all online. This has about 88 hours of training, about 57 in core classes, 32 in electives. This is wrong. It's actually all of these classes are online. A few of them are in live online, and then the majority of them are recorded so that you can do your own self-paced learning. The classes are in 4 categories: fundamentals, management, materials and construction, and design. I won't go through all of these, but this shows the 4 core the 4 areas: fundamentals, management, materials and construction, and design. Most of the effort is in materials and construction, which is where most folks are working. But we do provide, I teach the introductory class, basic concepts. We have a sustainability class, some management, including life cycle cost analysis and finance, lots of materials and construction, and then we're putting together our design classes. We haven't got this completely built out yet. We've got a number of classes in development, but we have quite a few classes. I believe Jay will probably tell us, I think it's about 12 or 13 classes that are already available. The Pavement Construction Inspection Certificate, this was requested by our governance board a few years ago. They started getting SB 1 money to be able to do more construction, but during the time when there was no money, they'd lost a lot of their people who had that construction experience. So the idea is to provide training for those who are on the job managing construction. These are the courses in the Pavement Construction Inspection Certificate. Some of these overlap with the other certificate program, and then some of them are only through this certificate program. But if you wanted to go for both of these, some of the classes overlap. You only have to take them once. These are the classes that are currently open for enrollment. And you can go to our CCPIC website. You can go to Tech Transfer, the website up at the top there. to learn more and get signed up. And you can also go to the CCPIC website, and there you can get information from there on the training, as well as all the other information that I talked about. Jay, am I getting into your part here, or is this?
That should still be you. I mean, I can talk a little bit
Okay.
about this if you'd like. This is a little
Okay.
more.
All right.
So we do have prepaid training packages for the certificate programs. I will say right now we have rolled out the pavement engineering management program enough that you can earn a certificate in it. There are enough classes available. The construction program, we're still developing the last few core classes, and we suspect soon enough we will have that fully developed to where the certificate will be earnable as well. But for this prepaid training package, as you can read, you can prepay for basically the entire certificate. So it would be $2,110 per person, and that locks in the price. So even if, as we know, inflation and things happen and prices go up in the future, if you paid today for the pavement engineering management certificate at that price, that includes the price to take all of the necessary courses to get your certificate. If you're interested in that, there's an email there, registrar@techtransfer.berkeley.edu. Just reach out to that or to me. You'll see my email address later in this presentation. Yeah, reach out to either of those email addresses and we can get you some more information or talk to you about it.
Here's the CCPIC website. And you can see up here the tech briefs and the best practices, information about the training courses, some of our outreach presentations. These are sample specifications down here, which a number of local governments have implemented into their standard specifications, some guidance documents, and then some of our tools over here on the bottom right. Okay, now, sorry, Jay, I officially hand it over to you, and I'll stop the share there.
Problem. Let me take this over here. I will start actually with a document, with a PDF that I do believe you all will be able to get a copy of. Just wanted to start here because this is the breakdown of the pavement engineering management certificate courses. So as you see, these are all of these courses here at the top are required courses. You would complete all of them. All of those courses are live online. So much like this webinar, there would be a course taught with an instructor who's presenting live to you online. All of the elective courses, which do include quite a few of the CCI, are in the courses from the construction inspection certificate program. All of these would count as elective courses for the engineering and management certificate program. You would need to take 6 of these courses and pass the exams. That is, for each of these courses, for it to count, you must complete the entire course and pass the related exams with the course. I will say PDO1, PDO2, and TS10 are live in-person courses. They are legacy courses of tech transfer that fit nicely into the pavement engineering management certificate program. So we've rolled those in as legacy courses. They are live in-person courses if you're looking for some of that. All the rest of the electives are self-paced online courses. And now let's talk about how you actually get to these courses. So this is our website, techtransfer.berkeley.edu/home. This is the home page. This is where you're most likely to go first. I just want to point out a few things here. There's a couple links to get to our training schedule. You could always click here to get to our full training schedule. And you could go here to courses and get by date, by topic, by location, or you could click just this courses link here, and it would still take you to a large list of our courses by date. I would also like to point out the subscribe for monthly updates in the upper corner, and there is a little gold box here that also says subscribe for monthly updates. If you aren't subscribed for our newsletter or you've never taken one of our courses, please go to our website, subscribe to our newsletter. It also signs you up for our system. So you would create your profile already, so that you'd be ready to register when you decide to register for courses. But that monthly update we send out an update on what courses are available, what's been full, what's coming up, what to expect. It's helpful to keep track. So then we will look here, courses by date. This would give you the list of all of our courses. We do more than just pavement training. We obviously, here we have things related to transportation engineering, transportation planning, multimodal, everything you could think of, even an airport systems course. So if you were interested in anything we could possibly do, it's all here. That's everything that's available that you could register to for today. For pavement courses, you just want to go to by topics and pavement courses. Once it loads, there we go. These are all of our pavement courses that are available for registration today. You could register for these today. If you go to course catalog, that is all of our pavement courses in total. The ones you see here that are not currently available for registration are probably coming up actually next semester, after the summer. We try to sort of cut our deliveries in half so that people can, get to as many courses as they can in a year. It'd be a lot to offer all of this, in a few month period. Any of these that say self-paced, online self-paced, these are all the self-paced courses. You register for them. You get a link to them. You get invited to the course, and you go through it at your own rate. Anything that just says online are live online courses. I would like to specifically point out that we actually have a live online course today. When we are done here today, I will actually be preparing to get this going. There are still a few spots available. If people are interested, you could register still for this course today. Obligatory plug for the course. And to do that, you would actually just click the course here, and you can click register yourself or enroll someone else. And you follow the prompts through there. There are a couple fee categories. If you are a California public agency, you pay a reduced rate. Be sure to register with your public agency email address. That way we know, and make sure to thank the Division of Local Assistance for helping with subsidizing those courses. They make it possible for us to offer these courses at a reduced rate for California public agencies.
Thank you, DLA.
Yes, thank you very much. So that is sort of it on my end. I don't know if there are any questions.
One last point, you look at the classes, you look at those hours. I've divided it up, and if you do 5 hours of classes a month for 18 months, you have a certificate. So if you break it down and think about it that way, it's eminently doable.
Great, thank you so much, Jay and John. So just one question for you all so far. For your classes that are not online self-paced, what time are these classes held? Is it typically during work hours or after?
So our classes are typically held during work hours. Our online courses, we try to make them as friendly as possible to the work schedule. So they're usually between 2 to 4 hours long, broken up. So if it's an 8-hour course, it's 4 2-hour sessions. So 2 hours each day over 4 days, say every Tuesday, Thursday for 2 weeks, or just Monday through Thursday in 1 week. Our live in-person courses, which a couple of our pavement electives are, and some of our non-pavement courses, for those interested in all of our courses, those are typically held in 8-hour, like a single day. So an 8-hour class would just be held on a Tuesday at a location, and you would go all day. We do have a couple 16-hour courses that are held over 2 days at a location back to back. And I do believe we have one course that is 3 or 3.5 days. That's our fundamentals of traffic engineering. It's sort of the very basics of everything you would want to know to have the fundamental knowledge of traffic engineering. And that's a monster course. That's like a 4-day course, just sort of 4 days straight in a hotel. You're there with a group of people. People really like it. It's great for young, fresh engineers. But yeah, typically our online courses are broken up into smaller chunks so that you could fit them in your workday and still get some of your work done. And they're typically held between 10 a.m. and noon or 2 p.m. and 4 p.m.
Great, thank you so much. And next question, where can we find information about certificates that are available?
So certificates, if you are interested, let me actually share this real quick. I will show you something here. On our home screen, you can scroll down and there's pavement courses. This gives us everything you'd need to know about it, including the pavement engineering management certificate, the pricing breakdown. There is also a one-pager that I believe got sent out into the chat, one of the things linked there, a PDF that has all the information on the pavement engineering management certificate program, which is the one we're pushing right now because it's fully completable. You could register, prepay, and complete that, like John said, in 18 months, just doing 5 hours of training. If you really wanted to push it, because there's enough self-paced courses and things, you could complete it in a year's time if your agency was willing to give you that sort of training time.
Great, thank you. And the final question from Selvanayagam. If I have taken some of the courses already, will there be any change in the cost of certification?
That is a really good question. So that
first time we've heard that question.
Yes, this will be the first time we run into this. So I will say, one, it depends on when you took those courses. Some of these courses, if you took them 7, 8 years ago, some of our legacy courses, we would not include those in the current, because there have been a lot of changes to manuals and things since then, and we want to make sure you have the most current information that counts towards our certificate. Now, if you've taken a few of our pavement courses that are happening now, and you're interested in completing the certificate and paying for the package, I would honestly say reach out to me and email me, and we will talk about how we can go about doing that on a sort of a case-by-case basis, because again, it's important to figure out what you've already taken and when you took it to make sure we could do that. But I'm not going to say there's no way we couldn't make something happen for you. It's just there's gonna be a lot of dependent factors. So feel free to reach out to me via email and we'll work on that with you.
Great, thank you, Jay and John. And their contact information has been dropped in the chat, so please reach out to them with any questions. Really
If you email us, please email both of us at the same time.
Yes.
My email gets stacked pretty bad, and that way Jay can catch it if I miss it.
Thank you for the clarification.
And for those of you who want to register for the course today, if you are really actually interested, please do it before 12:30. That will be the cutoff when I will be adding the last people who register last minute.
Great, thank you. And it was a general email that's dropped in the chat. So could you both, if you wouldn't mind following this, drop your emails in the chat for us?
Not a problem.
To everyone?
Yeah, go to everyone would be great. Thank you so much. All right, and with that, we are on to our final presentation with Tom O'Brien from our CalTAP Center to talk to us about the California Local Technical Assistance Program, or CalTAP training updates. Tom, when you're ready, please feel free to take it away.
Thank you, Samantha. I also want to acknowledge Scott Jakovich, who's with CalTAP, who's here on the call as well, and is a resource, and maybe he can put his contact information into the chat as well. Good morning, everybody. Happy Local Assistance Day. My name is Tom O'Brien. I'm the director of the California Local Technical Assistance Program Center, which is operated in partnership with DLA. We are housed at Cal State Long Beach in the Center for International Trade and Transportation. And I serve also as the Associate Dean of the College of Professional and Continuing Education, where CITT and CalTAP are based. As I said, we're part of the Caltrans Local Assistance Team, proudly. And our mandate is to serve California local and tribal road agencies with training, technical support, and industry updates, including making sure that everybody has information about the other types of programs that are being offered in California, like the ones that Jay was just talking about. In addition to the training that's offered through the federal government, the compliance training, and brokering training that comes from other state CalTAPs, or for the other state LTAPs, CalTAP does offer specialized training developed in response in many ways to an annual needs assessment that we do. We have two programs that are offered currently. One is a Sustainable Engineering Training Academy, or SETA, which involves a series of 8 courses that, when bundled, essentially are the equivalent of a certificate. We've offered 5 of those to date, and we are looking to offer the remaining 3 in this year. We also have a geospatial information systems training program that's done in 2 courses that's designed for non-GIS technicians and looks at ways in which local government can use GIS tools, including the storytelling aspect, to work with local constituencies. That course is going to be offered again in March. More on that later. As I said, we also make available or broker or share information on training that's offered by other providers. Upcoming training, all of which are well, now the first 2 are free: navigating discretionary grant programs and pavement preservation and cold recycling are coming up in March. And then the Resident Engineers Academy will be taking place in March and then again in May. The March class is full. This is a program that's highly subscribed, and you'll be getting information on the May offering coming up soon. And then, as I mentioned, we are going to be doing the Introduction to GIS for LPAs, which is that first course of the GIS training program on March 21st from 8:30 to 12, and we'll be sharing registration information on that soon. One of the other things that CalTAP does, and I'm really proud about this, is showcasing local innovation through the Build a Better Mousetrap initiative. This is a program that's designed to allow local governments to tell valuable stories about the innovative work that they do solving problems in transportation agencies. These are solutions that are meant to be, or understood to be, scalable and transferable to other parts of the state and the nation. Essentially, things that are everyday solutions to problems you encounter in local and tribal communities. The program covers tools, equipment modifications, or processes that result in increased safety, cost reduction, or efficiency improvements for the local agencies where they're adopted. This is a national program run through the Federal Highway Administration. We administer the California version of it, so that the innovation sort of bubbles to the surface here, and then we work with the local agencies to package those innovations for the national competition. And there's a link there to get more information. And I'm really happy to say that we have been successful the last 2 years in, for the first time ever, getting recognition for California innovations through the national competition. In 2023, it was the city of Walnut Creek, which received the National Pioneer Award for safe sightings of signs and signals, which was a really smart and innovative dash-mounted smartphone used to capture traffic signal sightlines throughout the city. And had really demonstrated impact, which I think got the attention of FHWA by reducing the site clearance procedure from weeks to a single day. And we were really happy. Daniel Burke from DLA and I made a visit to Walnut Creek to present the award. And then last year, we had the Innovative Project Award winner, this time from Southern California. So really happy to see balance across the state. The city of Moreno Valley was recognized for a custom speed cushion design that allows emergency vehicles to pass unrestricted without vehicle deflection or slowing, but while still having an impact at traffic calming. in local communities. And this was an innovation that I believe the Build a Better Mousetrap program helped tremendously by demonstrating the proof of concept, and the result is broader based adoption throughout the city of the innovation. And so while the Kansas City Chiefs were not able to three-peat, we are undaunted here in California, and we want a third winner in a row, and we need your help to do that. We are in the process of accepting innovation applications at the link that's on this slide. This is open to California local and tribal government agencies. There is no application limit per organization, but we do need new and original projects. There are 4 national winners selected, and so we want to submit as many competitive applications as possible. The deadline is in late May, but we encourage you to reach out to us, to myself and or Scott, to work with you on how to make the application as effective as possible. Winners will be announced in early June, and the criteria are listed at the link. You know, it's got to be overall. The overall impact matters. Benefit to the agency as well as scalability and transferability matters. And we're really looking for things that are original ideas, thus the Build a Better Mousetrap. And we're happy to work with you on making sure that the submission quality is something that will get the attention of FHWA. We frankly learned a lot about that over the past 3 years since we've been involved in the program. One other thing I wanted to share with you that maybe a lot of people don't know that the CalTAP does, we offer an equipment loan program. Free monthly access to LTAP equipment inventory, which is right now consists only of retroreflectometers that we will send to you and that you send back to us, sort of on a library basis, on a library model. And it really is designed to support smaller agencies with infrequent equipment needs where the investment in the equipment may not be warranted or possible. In 2025, we will be expect to be deploying a larger set of equipment options to local agencies and tribal agencies throughout the state. Traffic speed signs for temporary deployment, traffic data collectors, ball bank indicators for curve speed studies, and pneumatic tube speed detectors. So if you want to get more information about those, please reach out to us as well. It would be helpful to know where the demand is going to be for those additional pieces of equipment. Where a lot of what we do is we look at sort of what the state of the practice is in other LTAPs, but we recognize that California may be unique. And with that, we ask you to remain engaged with us. All of the trainings that we either run or broker or want to promote are on our website. We can take in requests by email. And all of our trainings, the free trainings, are available on YouTube at the California LTAP page. And we also promote through LinkedIn. So thank you for this opportunity. We're thrilled to be part of the DLA and Local Assistance Network.
Thank you so much, Tom, for your presentation. We do have a question for you. Is it possible to get more information for the traffic counters? And if so, who should I contact?
Let's start with Scott Jakovich. You can send us an email to the admin@caltap.org and it will go to us. But Scott is the one that has been taking the lead on growing our program and can work with you directly. It's great to hear that there might be interest.
Thank you so much, Tom. And so those contacts will be dropped in the chat for you. It does look like that is all of our questions, but if anyone has follow-up questions for Tom, please feel free to reach out to him at the info@caltap.org, which is dropped in the chat. Oh, I'm sorry, we just had another question pop in. Do you know when May registration, this is I think a general question, when May registration opens, for For registration for our Local Assistance Day webinars, again, please visit our Local Assistance blog, which has been dropped in the chat for you, and go ahead and sign up using that column on the right-hand side, and you will get notifications when registration opens for this and other important trainings. With that, we are coming to a close for today's Local Assistance Day webinar, but before you log out today, please feel free to add any recommendations you have for our future local assistance webinar topics in the Q&A field at the bottom. So any suggestions you have, please drop them in the Q&A field for future agenda topics. We do collect those suggestions and consider implementation as appropriate. Our next webinar is May 6th of this year. Presenters, if you could please stay online and meeting hosts for a quick debrief. Thank you everyone for attending today's Local Assistance Day webinar, and we hope to see you again on May 6th for our next opportunity. All right, have a great day, everyone.